Es un gran honor, por favor, dad la bienvenida a la directora y guionista Kaouther Ben Hania. Y al productor Nadim Sheikh.
Thank you.
Hola, buenas.
Buenas tardes,
Buenas.
noches. Hace falta un minuto de respiración, entiendo. Alguien me decía hace poco que es una película que tiene un antes y un después. Es una película que marca un hito, no solamente por el tema, la temática que toca, sino por los logros a nivel cinematográficos. Es un verdadero honor tener a ellos dos aquí. Quizá un poco, creo que algunos de vosotros le conocéis, Kaouther irrumpió en el escenario internacional con 4 hijas y con El hombre que vendió su piel, las dos nominadas a Oscars, César, premios. Es una colaboración realmente extraordinaria. Sabemos que el cine es un arte de equipo y es muy raro tener a una pareja de cineastas que llevan 6 películas, 6 films together. Es algo realmente a celebrar y pues eso, quizás sale buen trabajo de esto. Pero vamos a hacerlo en inglés, tenéis traducción simultánea y al final de una pequeña charla donde vamos a comentar uno de los temas relevantes, habrá la oportunidad de que hagáis preguntas directamente. So Kaouther, where did it all start? Where did it all start? How did you find Hind? How did you find the voice?
It was all over internet. We couldn't miss it because in those 12 days when the Red Crescent had no news from Yusuf Zaino and Ahmed Madhoun, and no news from Hind because this place was under siege, they published some extract from the conversation with Hind in an attempt to put pressure. So they published this on the internet and it was shared and shared. And at the time, I remember we were doing the Oscar campaign of my previous movie for Daughters. And I had another project, actually. I've been working on it for several years. And the idea was to finish the Oscar campaign of For Daughters and to start the pre-production of this movie. But at the same time, I was glued to the news, following what was happening in Gaza and asking myself existential questions. About what does it mean to be human, what does it mean to do art, to tell stories, to do films when the unthinkable is happening in Gaza. And I was like really depressed. I remember the Oscar campaign was a pain for me, you know. Until I heard the voice of Hind Rajab. And for like a millisecond, I thought she was asking me to rescue her, you know. Her voice have this something very alive and immediate. And I couldn't like think about anything else. So I started doing research. I called him and I told him I'll not do the other movie. He was like, what? Are you crazy? It was financed and really. I told him it's not, how to say, I can't. It's a beautiful story about storytelling, you know. I can't right now do something about the beauty of the storytelling. no, I have doubt about the storytelling, Anyway, so I told him about the project, and I wasn't sure that I can do a movie because of two things. I've learned that her mother was somewhere in Gaza. So if I want to do a film, the first thing to do is to talk to her, to tell her, are you okay with the idea, So I called Hind's mother. Her name is Wissam. She's 29 years old, and she was mourning. And she's incredible, an incredible woman. When I was talking to her, I was mumbling, not knowing what to say. I was thinking about her pain, and I couldn't. And she told me this sentence. She told me, listen, if you want to do a movie, do it, because I don't want my daughter to be forgotten under the rubble and the corpse. And I want justice for my daughter also. So she was from the beginning. I met her last week, actually, for the first time. I can come back after to talk about this. So the second step was to talk to the Red Crescent, to ask them if they are willing to give me the recording.
And is it true that you found an angel in the Red Cross, in the Red Crescent? You found someone who knew your films and was a cinephile.
Yeah.
It does happen.
Yeah, I was afraid because everybody wanted those recordings, like the Washington Post, they did a great investigation. And I called this guy, the Red Crescent, and I was mumbling and telling him, I'm Kaouther Ben Hania, I'm a filmmaker. He told me, stop, so I know who you are, I saw your movies. So he was working in the Ministry of Culture of Palestine, actually. So and he's a poet. Also, I met him last week for the first time. So they gave me the recording.
So it was destiny.
What?
It was destiny.
Yeah. It was meant to Maktub, we call it in Arabic, like it's written. So I heard those recording, and it was very difficult hearing. But then I was sure I want to do the movie. I have the mother blessing, and everything was in the recording. The death of Layen.
And then you started the process of script writing? This must have been...
Before screenplay writing, I did heard all the recording, and then I was thinking about from which point of view to tell the story. So quickly, you have a lot of angles. I can tell the story from Hind's point of view, from the mother point of view, even from the Israeli tank point of view, And I quickly understood that the most interesting point of view is the Red Crescent point of view, the hearing, As I received the how to say, the words of Hind Rajab the first time I heard her voice, they were in the same position. So I decided to tell the story from the point of view of the Red Crescent, because also you had everything in the sound. The sound in itself was full of images, because Hind is so clever. She was explaining where she is, what is happening around her. So already the sound was, there was a space, a filmic space with the sound. So I, doing the double of the sound with image, and I couldn't take an actress, and for me it's a moral, ethical limit, to take a child actress and ask her to do the death of Hind Rajab. out of question. You know, we I don't know if you know this saying of Jacques Rivette, the traveling is a moral question, talking about the Pontecorvi film Capo, who were filming the concentration camp with the traveling. So anyway, for me it was no way, but I knew, because I had her mother, like this call with her mother telling me, I don't want my daughter to be forgotten. I knew that the sound will be the backbone. This recording will be the backbone of the movie. So yeah, then I had this hesitation, or this question about how to film the Red Crescent point of view. Is it a pure documentary? Like I go and I do interview with the person from the Red Crescent, which was possible in a way. Although I hate the word pure, because for me there is no purity. It's a bigot word for me, you know. And I quickly understood that, you know, I live in France, and the debate in France was very tense at the time, you know, I'm talking about when I started. Like, you have people trying to explain the martyrdom of Palestinian, and you have people who can't hear this, you know. And I noticed something, that when you explain with proof, and in this case, in Hind's story, everything is bulletproof, because there was a great investigation done by a forensic architect who analyzed every sound to know what were the weapon, which kind of tank, Israeli tank, and with the satellite images. And you can find some of their work on internet. So anyway, all this is to say, I was thinking about the documentary form, because I started with documentary. I love documentary. And I told myself, explaining is not enough. We are done explaining. Now it's time to feel, to invite the audience to put yourself in the shoes of a Palestinian worker in the Red Crescent, and to live his experience, and to go back to that moment when Hind was still alive and asking for help, and when it was possible to save her. And to do this with cinema tools, you have something called reconstruction or reenactment, in a way. And I thought that this is more impactful than explaining, you know. So I made this choice to have actors that look like the real character, but not only in the physical aspect, also in terms of
The
temperament. I wanted to have Palestinian actors that don't make us forget the original, the real hero working there, to whom I wanted to pay a huge tribute at the end, you know. So yeah, I'm talking a lot, but
No, because in a way, I think everyone will agree. What makes your film very different from a moment where finally we're getting a lot of films about both the genocide, documentaries, fiction. It is a moment of telling the many stories we haven't heard. This film is actually, even though it's about a tragedy, is actually a film about hope. There is a hope in it. Because maybe we started feeling, rather than just knowing the news. Every day we watch the news and we become insensitive. But so you've come up in this state of grace where things are happening, and then your partner in crime has to postpone the other film. And what is extraordinary, if you've looked at some of the credits, this is truly a global film. You have Odessa Ray, who's a Canadian US producer. You have Jim Wilson, Channel 4, Film 4 in the UK. You have 2 Tunisians. You have, on the eve of the Venice Film Festival, a roll call of executive producers: Alfonso Cuarón, Brad Pitt, Rooney Mara, Joaquin Phoenix. The cinematographer, Sarmiento, is Colombian. Some of you might know some of Juan Sarmiento. He's also done A Poet, which is the Colombian submission to the Oscars this year, and a number of Carimenus. I mean, truly global. How did you put the film together? How did this puzzle around Hind, how it's an extraordinary global?
Well, yes, I think when you don't have choice, you gather with your lookalikes or something in the world. But no, everything happened by magic, I would say, because when she told me that we were working on that film for many years, and you know, when you have to finance Arab-speaking film, it takes a long time, and throughout the process, you have to have multiple sources of financing. So you have a yes, 10 no's, another yes, another 10 no's, and many times you think we're never gonna make it, and it lasts 3-4 years with the other film, and finally we reach the moment where we can make it. And when she comes and she says, I'm not gonna do it, I'm like, you know, well, okay, this film is not gonna happen. But of course I was in the same situation as her, and when she told me what she wanted to do, it was obvious that, yeah, we had to do something. But we thought we have to do it quickly. Like the recordings came in the summer, I remember. It took a bit of time to, she had the idea in February. It took time to contact the Red Crescent to find the right person. And she received the recordings in the summer. And she wrote the script very quickly, in almost 1 month. And then we thought we have to do it like now. And we shot actually 1 month after.
Where did you shoot? Where did you shoot?
We shot in Tunisia. And when we decided to, I remember we had a meeting with Kaouther and the first assistant, who is French, and we did film together. And she was supposed to do the next one. And actually, Juan was supposed to do the next one.
And the costume designer
yes.
also. Like, I talked to them, the costume designer and the DP, about the other movie. I sent them the script, and then it disappeared. Because I was taken and swollen by Hind's story, and at some point they called me, let's do meeting to talk about what you sent us, the screenplay. I said, no, I'm not doing this movie, I'm doing another movie. Really? What is the other movie? So I told them, and they said, I want to be in it. So like the crew of the other movie went to this one.
Because you work usually with the same team of editors, you know, you have very much.
Not always.
Not really, not always, because we have constraints, you know.
Yeah, the financing of our system is like you have funding from Germany, so you have to take people from Germany and Sweden and Belgium. So when we can, we keep the same, but
100% shot in Tunisia.
Yeah.
Wow.
And when we decided to shoot this film, actually, we said, okay, we do it in 1 month, no matter what happened. We didn't have the cast. We didn't have the place to shoot. We didn't have the financing, but we were shooting in 1 month. And it was just crazy, you know. And the thing is, we didn't have time to look for public fundings. And also, to be honest, I didn't want public money, especially, well, let's say...
I think everyone understood you.
I was like, yeah, I don't want in 1 year people to come to me, hey, public funding for this film. So we were looking for private equity, and we met with Odessa. We were having lunch with her, and we talked to her about the film. She was very excited.
Odessa produced a documentary on Nalvani, which won the Oscar 2 years ago.
And just after she met with Jim Wilson, who is the producer of Zone of Interest, and also he came on board. And it's funny because we only had people on board who came quickly and were very involved. And when I was talking to investors that I don't know and telling them I want $200,000, but in 1 week, they were looking at me like, this guy is a bit crazy. But yeah, it happened like this. It's I don't know, a magic thing.
There was a great energy around the movie because it was like everybody was I feel like me, depressed about the news and needed to do something. And I was asking myself, what can I do? You know, this existential question. What I know a little bit how to do movie. You know, so I can do this. You know, so there was this kind of energy around the movie, and me, I was so how to say determined. So like all the people around us were in the same energy. So we had some resistance also. People who were like it's too early, shoot it in 10 years. One thinks we
no, even shoot it in 2 years, or don't do a one location. Follow the Red Cross people who will go home and you see their life, the American way.
When you ask people for money, they want to put their creative
ideas.
Ideas.
Everyone knows that, right?
They want to write the script.
And the cast, because of course, since San Sebastian, Spain is a very welcoming country to what is happening in Palestine, from politics to the audience. As you know, San Sebastian was amazing, and we just had last week also the premiere of the cast. How did you go about casting? Because
before talking about the casting, I'll talk about San Sebastian. Me, one of the things that I couldn't be in San Sebastian. Ask me why. Because the movie I put aside to shoot the voice of Hind Rajab, we had public money for this one.
A lot.
So we had to shoot it, otherwise we lose the money. Because I put it aside, and all the public funding were calling him, where is the movie, where is the movie, are you shooting him? So I did Venice, Toronto, and from Toronto I took the plane and I went directly to the set. So I was shooting when San Sebastian was happening, but I was lucky enough to have great actors that can represent the movie in a good way. So they were in San Sebastian. I was watching actually the video. I was very jealous.
If you haven't seen it, they both made it to La Revuelta last week to huge success.
Yeah. So, and I want really to say thank you to Oscar and Enrique from LAZONA and Caramel for distributing the movie. They are doing a wonderful job. I can't dream better distribution than this, and I think San Sebastian was a great moment. And I've heard, I saw the photo that Pedro Almodovar, which is a god for me, was in the screening of Hind Rajab. And I was like, I went crazy, I was again jealous from Saja and Motaz, my actors.
Since then, they don't talk to her. They're like, under Modovar, we don't talk, you know. Like.
Exactly. There was also Carlos Bardem. There was all sorts of interesting people. There are some interesting people here. I mean, Teresa Font is the editor of Pedro Almodovar.
Oh my God! Tell him that I'm.
And I think there's someone else who works with Pedro here. There's Carlota Casado, who has said design. There's a few people.
Oh my God. You know, I grow up with Pedro movies. Like every movie for me.
We all have as well.
I'll open a little parenthesis to talk about Pedro movies and how it was important for me. Just small parenthesis. You know, we live in a world with the culture of sobriety. You should be sober, you know. This is the bourgeois thing, and when you are women and coming from minority, I'm talking about minority cultural impact. You are not like Almodovar gave me faith in colors, in emotions, in explosion, and I was like so happy that Pedro Almodovar exists. I close the parenthesis.
That famous gazpacho changed our lives. So, just a little bit, about the casting. The choosing of the actors is really this was something, no?
Yeah, it was something because, you know, I started the casting after talking hours and hours with the real Red Crescent, Omar, Rana, Mahdi, and Nisreen. And I started to feel who they are really, you know, because they were great. They opened to me their heart and they were telling me a lot of things, not only about that day. So I told myself I need to have, because I also had in mind this shot at the end with the phone, because I received from the Red Crescent, and I thought that I need great actors, Palestinian actors that look like the real characters, which is a lot of, you know, condition. And I had in mind Amir Halihil, the actor playing Mahdi, because I saw him in a great movie that was in Cannes, and he's a great theater actor, and he looks like Mahdi, the real Mahdi, you know. Clara Khouri also, I knew her because she did several movies with Hani Abu Asad, who was Oscar nominee twice, and she had something from the real Nisreen. Then
Mixed Palestinian and Arabic actors is mixed.
what?
The nationalities of the cast.
They're all Palestinian.
They're all
Palestinian.
Palestinian.
Yeah.
Even
All
the
of-
extras, actually.
Even the extras. We in Tunis, we were looking for every Palestinian in Tunis, telling him, "Come, we are telling Hind Rajab's story." It was very moving.
You have enough diaspora of Palestinians
Yeah.
around the world. You can
Yes,
find them.
exactly. Even
Sadly.
yeah. So I was looking for the two other parts, which are a little bit younger. And I did the casting. I was looking everywhere, and I asked for self-taped audition from Saja. And actually, Saja, she sent me her, and you know, at the time we tried to keep the project secret. We didn't want it to be, because we were afraid, you know, maybe someone will, you know, you never know. So I was asking them to do self-taped about something very abstract. I couldn't tell them what the movie about, and so it was a little bit complicated. But I remember I received Saja first, and I had in mind another actress, and I found Saja incredible. I mean, she was filming herself by the phone, and she was eating the phone. I don't
You
know.
know, someone at the premiere said to me at one point she looks like a Virgin Mary.
Yeah, she has something
So
very,
she's
very
something
strong.
very.
But stupid as I am, because I was thinking about the other actress, I sent her a refusal letter, a very nice one, to tell her, you should become a great actor. I loved your self-tape. And she was happy, actually, because she saw my movie and she wanted to work with me. And she told me that she was showing this letter to her parent, telling them, look what she told me. And her parent was, she's telling you no. Anyway.
And then you change your mind. You change your mind.
And then I came back, you know, because the other actress, I asked her for a self-tape, and to be sure, you know. Then I told her, Saja, forgive me. I'm sorry. And for Mu'taz, the same thing. He was really great from the first self-tape. Anyway, so I can talk more about. So once I had the casting, I put every actor in contact with the character that he will interpret. And it was crazy, you know, the alchemy between the real and the double, you know, the actor and. So I was hearing stuff the real Red Crescent people didn't told me, you know, like they told the actor, because also in the character they have the same temperament. For example, Mu'taz, he have this fiery, explosive temperament as the real Omar, you know. They have the same, and the real Omar was telling me last week, I was watching the movie and watching myself in Mu'taz.
Copy paste.
So,
He says all the time, Mu'taz, copy paste.
Yeah. So,
But you're describing, even I find myself is wonderful. We talk about, this film is about humanity and memory. It's a different kind of all about my mother than Almodovar. but it is also about a mother in the back. And, you know, it's very nice that we can actually have a bit of sense of humor, even when we're talking about a film which is about the tragedy that got our life, a film which some people can describe as an Anne Frank for the Palestinian genocide. Very much the voice of Hind will become in time a reference like Anne Frank did for the Jewish Holocaust. But in the end, what you're describing is like an ordeal, shooting a man's no money, this, that, whatever. And there is a thing in films that happens sometimes, which is a happy end. Even though the genocide in Palestine still goes on, there's still bombs, there's a mess still. The film has received worldwide distribution, awards, is being seen all over the world. It's released in the States for the Oscars, I think in 2 weeks, and then in January. I mean, it's a happy end for that bit. How do you feel? How do you feel?
You know, I'm not, I don't have, how to say, at some point, I know that this movie will not bring him back for life. I would love, I don't know if the sentence in English is correct, but not doing this movie, you know, not having.
You would have preferred not to make this film.
Yes, not to make it, not to have the
need to make it.
The need to make it, the story. I would love that Hind is an anonymous little girl still playing on the beach on Gaza. So I don't have any illusion, but I'll come back to the urgency and why I thought that we need to do this movie right now. Because when Hind's mother told me about justice for her daughter, I was thinking that Palestinian for more than 70 years, there is no accountability for Israel and no justice, you know. So waiting till justice will be done to do my movie, it's no way. I want to do a movie that can be part of a process, can maybe have a role, you know, to wake up conscience around the world and maybe help in bringing justice at least to this little girl, you know. We are not talking about all the Palestinians. So this idea, this dreamy idea, you know, that cinema can be part of the change, made me feel like I have more faith in cinema in a way, because at some point I lost faith in art storytelling, you know. It seems so disconnected from what we live. So actually we are taking the movie, the movies will be released here, and Spain is a wonderful country. When you think about all the Western country position, Spain is incredible. I mean, you people have the love of Palestinian. You can't imagine, you know. And Hind's mother, actually, I come back to talk about my meeting with her. She told me, I hope one day I'll go to Spain, because Spain and Ireland, she was telling me.
Because I'm sure that if I can call on the audience before we start some questions, we all wish you didn't have to make the film. Yeah. But I'm sure everyone here agrees that given that there was no choice, we are happy you made the film.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think you have the answer there. So, who would like to ask questions? There's a microphone running around there. Hands up. Manos, sí, por favor. You can ask in either Spanish or English. Adelante.
I think you said you met for the first time his mother last week. Didn't you shoot her? Didn't you film her on the movie?
I know. At the time she was in Gaza, we sent actually a fixer, a cameraman from Gaza, because you know that Gaza, no journalist, filmmaker can enter. So at the time I was in contact with her, and I told her I would, and actually we filmed with her a very long interview. You know, I discussed with her the question, but you know, there was no place in the movie for all the interview. And when she told, you know, when I saw the images and she was talking about the relationship of Hind with the beach, I told myself, this is incredible, because when Nisreen was doing the meditation exercise, when she talked about the beach, there was a kind of resurrection, you know. She like wake up and she was, so for me it was important to end with this. No, Hind's mother was in Gaza at the time, and there was something very, very, how to say, complicated, I don't know, emotionally for me, and for all of us, because she was receiving a threat from the Israeli army telling her to stop talking about her daughter. And when I was in Venice, I don't know if you heard about the other movie who was in Acid at Cannes, Put Your Hand on Your Soul and Walk, about this photojournalist from Gaza.
I think it hasn't come here yet.
No, yeah. So there was a documentary in a parallel section in Cannes about a photojournalist in Gaza, a young girl of 25 years, and the movie was programmed in Cannes, and one day before the screening, she was bombed. Yeah. She was in Gaza and she was bombed. So it was a nightmare for me to think that they can do the same thing with, you know, the movie was in Venice, and it's possible, you know, to have the same scenario. And I knew that she received...
But in fact, you only met her, you've spoken on the phone, but you only met face to face in Doha last week.
Last week.
And she has not seen the film.
She don't want to, she can't see the film.
So
what happened that we were lucky enough to help in a way with our EP connection and people to evacuate her from Gaza, to put her in safe place. And in Doha, in Qatar, there is a film festival, and they actually, what they did a great thing. They invite all of us, director, producer, actors, but also they invited the 4 real Red Crescent hero, and the delegation from the Red Crescent, and they invited Hind's mother. So all of us, we met for the first time the last week in Doha, and you know, when I ended the editing, one of the first thing I thought about is to show the movie to Hind's mother. For me, it was very important. She told me, no, I can't even hear the recording on internet. I can't handle this. So it was like...
She trusted you as well, amazing trust. She put her whole
trust on me,
trust on you completely.
And for me it was, no, I told her, tell me the person you trust the most so we can show him the movie. She told me my brother. So we organized the screening for the brother, and they talked about it. And what she did in Qatar, because we had like 4 screening with Q&A. In every screening, she arrives at the end, and she meets the audience. Wow. Why? I told her, she told me it's so consoling for me to be mourning not alone, you know, because in Gaza everybody was mourning. I had nobody to console me because everybody was living a catastrophe. So meeting people who have pain for my daughter give me strength you can't imagine. So it was very, very moving.
Extraordinary. Who else would like to ask something?
I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry in advance if it's a naive question, but you have talked about the reception of the film in countries in which the general public has been very supportive, such as Spain or Ireland. How has the reception of this movie been in countries that have ways of viewing this conflict in favor of Israel instead of in favor of Palestine? It's just out of curiosity.
It's a good question, and we're coming to that. The film was released in Tunisia, so that's okay. Spain, Italy also. In Italy did very well. We have released the film in France yesterday, and France is a bit mixed, let's say. So it's interesting because one thing is that the public opinion shifted a bit. So we kind of see that there is a division, we say. There are people who are really supportive in the media. The media are a bit mixed, and it's interesting because it happens to have some bad critics, and it's interesting to understand why. Until now, I read the bad critics. I can't understand what they don't like about the film, and we were discussing about it a lot. She was talking about Almodovar and how the emotion are important. There is a position where people feel something, but they don't like to have that feeling. It's really weird position, you know.
You're talking about Parisian.
Yes. Like, as if it was bad to feel something about the Palestinians. It's really weird.
Yeah, because if I may add, I mean, and we were talking about this earlier, when you look at this film, if you are a cinephile and look at the history of cinema, it's very much a film that has very little precedent. I mean, I don't know if you looked, even if you look at some of the political-based drama stories from the beginning, anything, Battle of Algiers, you can go, each of them had a very difficult time, mixed, not difficult, because I am sure, look, you're winning all sorts of awards, and I'm going to pray that you are at the end of the Oscars as you deserved and all of that. Let's not forget No Other Land last year. The Palestinian documentary is the first film to ever win an Oscar without having a US distributor. So what is good is that people talk and have different opinions, but it's a film on its own. There is no precedent. And I think it's very difficult for the critics who are not able to say, this is another drama or another romantic. They cannot put a genre. It's impossible to put a genre on it.
Some critics, they say, I don't like the mix of documentary and fiction. I liked the movie before, Four Daughters, which was a mix of documentary fiction. So in the same thing, you're like, okay. Well.
You are ahead of the time. Time will tell.
Now the film is going to be released in US, so it's going to be interesting.
And UK?
And UK in January.
Which is also a difficult country at the moment.
And even, which was the last country to be sold for the film, Germany. So this is going to be something.
But the film is sold out worldwide, literally, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, in some territory, I never thought they will be interested in one of my movie, like Malaysia, Indonesia, Hong Kong, Japan. They already got my previous movies. Almost everywhere in all America, Latin America. No, we are. I mean, you know, in Venice at Venice Film Festival, when we received this amazing reaction. Because I was so afraid that nobody will hear her voice. I thought her voice will echo, and it is right now. Till now, it's echoing, you know.
This is what happens when you are groundbreaking. You have to take a little bit of that mix, and time will tell. Anyone else wants to do another question? Let me get someone else to ask one. There's a gentleman at the back there. Oh, gentleman or lady? No. Anyone else, or should we wrap it? One more, last one.
Hello. Thank you for your bravery to do this film. And I wanted to ask two questions. One is, as a document, because this is like a proof for a trial. So has any effect on like social political effect the movie or not yet? That's one question. And the other question was the character of I don't remember his name, the coordinator,
Mahdi.
I think was the hardest character because he has to take care of the situation, but he was also trying to take care of his team, of his mates. So yeah, tell me something more about this character, because I think for him it has to be very difficult, the situation, and also watching himself maybe in the movie, no? And thank you again.
Maybe you could speak about also the United Nations screening that's coming up.
About the proof, yeah, unfortunately not yet. I mean, even before the film, there were a lot of proofs. She was talking about Forensic Architect, Washington Post, Sky News. They all had this all news, and
also, just sorry to interrupt you, the position of Israel on this specific case was always and is still, it's not us. And if you can watch the Sky News, they did the great reportage, and at the end, after the reportage showing with satellite images their tanks, because you can't hide today, you know, the spokesperson of the army was telling her, no, we weren't there. She were showing him the image. I don't know from where you brought those images. We weren't there, you know. This is the official position of Israel.
Yeah, and for months, the spokesman of the White House, each time in the press conference, there is one guy asking him what is the news about the investigation about Hind Rajab, and nothing is happening. So, I mean, I think what our hope is that the film is not here to bring the proof, but to raise consciousness. And as you mentioned, there is, of course, the idea of to show it to as many people as possible to raise awareness. Sometimes I say that, let's say there is 10% of the people who are with the cause, let's say, 10% against it. I mean, I'm inventing figures, but you see what I mean. And the 80% are in the middle. And the idea is to reach those people so they can put pressure on the politics, etc. And in 2 days, we're going in Washington to do a screening in the Congress. In the day after in UN, and we're working on doing screenings in parliaments. Just today I had a call from deputies in France to show it. So yeah, this is the idea, hopefully, to change things. And the second question?
About Mahdi character. So yeah, this is a moral dilemma that is imposed and by design, by the occupation. What does it mean to be occupied? That you have a set of rules designed to make your life impossible, so you have no choice other than immigration. It's what we call ethnic cleansing, but it's smooth, you know? You can't, it's not like telling you go out of your home, which they are doing it. But the general atmosphere, and when I was talking to Palestinians, it's not only in this case, you know, to send an ambulance, which for everything, papers, to build a house, that's why we call it an apartheid regime, you know. So Mahdi is, the real Mahdi, he lost colleagues. And his responsibility as a coordinator is to send them. So he needs to protect them. And you have this moment when he say, if another photo is added to this wall, I'll quit. And this is what he did, actually. The real Mahdi, after Hind Rajab case, he resigned. He's working for another...
He's been working there for, we knew that, but I didn't know exactly the thing, that he was working in the Red Crescent for 14 years, and he quit the day after this happened.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So, just for me to say, to bring it to a close, the film is opening tomorrow, courtesy of Caramel and LAZONA, in 130 cinemas all over Spain. If you walk around the Gran Via, the Tube and all that, you can't miss seeing it. So thank you for not only a necessary film, but also an outstanding film, filmmaking-wise. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thank you for coming. Thank you very much.